Hey y'all, welcome back. This is Trey with TreyMixes.com, giving you some mixing tips, tricks, techniques, concepts. And today we're going to talk about bus mixing, which is a big deal with how I do things. I like to do what's called top-down mixing, going from the whole song down to each instrument bus, down to individual tracks if need be. And today, to branch on what we talked about last time, we're going to talk about a string bus for this song. So I'm going to let you hear the song for just a second, and then we will talk about this string bus. So it's that little section we're going to be listening to when we're doing this. Quick summation, a bus is just somewhere where you send a bunch of instruments of either the same type or the same frequency range, and you can control the whole thing with a single fader, a single channel strip full of effects. So in this case, building on, we talked about EQing your string quartet. Well, today I've bussed all of my strings, my string quartet, and any supporting string type effects all to one bus, this channel that's linked right here, and called it strings. So right here, we'll solo these out and listen to just the strings. All right, very cool. So when I'm doing bus mixing, you apply things to the bus to affect all the instruments that go there, and you can get away with smaller moves sometimes, or gradual tiny moves or mixing concepts, because you're affecting so many strings, in this case strings, so many instruments at once. So in the context of this song, which is how you should always mix, is in the context of the song, I brought up an EQ first because I like to EQ before I compress. And with this EQ, we did a high pass filter. And the high pass filter I only do on a lot of buses as kind of like a catch, a safety plan. And in the event that, say, the bass or the drums are making a lot of noise down in this range, I don't want what I'm working on, in this case strings, to get in the way. So we passed out this range below 50 to get out of the way of the kick drum. So you can hear the kick and the bass thumping away there, and we just want to make sure we're out of the way. The next move, going up the frequency spectrum, is I dipped out a little bit of this 250 range. We'll put this back in, let you hear it with and without. What's going on here is there's a little bit of tightening up that's happening. There's just some of this mud that's in the way of, say, the guitars, and in the way of some of the snare hits and some of the lower range of the vocals. And we want to get it out of the way of the strings so we can hear the vocals. So I'll boost this way up so you can hear what I took out. A lot of that real kind of, if you can have a bass nasally sound, like that. Shut up, don't laugh at me. And we're going to pull this out and down back to where we had it, just to get that out of the way of some of the other instruments. At 440, we had just a notch frequency that was bothering me, and I like to take out some of the 2 to 5K a lot of times. Not enough for you to really notice, but to get out of the way of vocal range. A lot of your vocal notes are between, say, 1 to 5, and I just want to get this out of the way of the singers. And then I high shelved because I felt that the entirety of the strings could stand to be a little brighter. Just add some heightened sense of air to the strings, really give them kind of a concert feel. Next, I just apply some gentle compression. I do this with a lot of my buses, just to kind of even out any peaks that are really out of control. And here we can go into details about compressor use on another video, but just on this, we just gently 2 to 3 decibels just to kind of smooth it out. And of course I add back in with makeup gain what we took out, kind of a quick attack just to make sure we grab those peaks, and a release that makes it feel natural. Do you see it become a little bit more present across the spectrum because we're knocking down some of those dynamic peaks? And then my favorite thing, saturation. I put this on a lot of things, and this is just really important because it helps smooth the frequencies out. Where there may be too many highs, too many lows, you can kind of fill in the gaps in your frequency range with a little saturation. And it's not a lot, it's just something subtle, and hopefully you can hear. Kind of gives it a little bit more attack and a little bit more warmth as we're just kind of filling in the frequency gaps with some saturation. Saturation is something that I use a ton of, and if you go over to tremixes.com, you can get my free ebook and private videos that are just on how I use mixing saturation to help with situations like this, 5 different scenarios than this. So I'll leave a link to that and put it up on the screen right now so that you can see the link and head there. But saturation is really key, and I use it a lot. It can really help transform all of your songs. So I'm going to put this back into the full context of the mix and turn the saturation in and off. And I want you to be really intentional listening to what happens to the strings. You'll be fine and they really just come to life. It's a subtle thing, but they kind of push through the mix a little bit more and add some width and some color to those string sounds. And the very last thing I have down here is something that is necessary in a lot of instruments that contain frequency ranges similar to the vocals. Is I sidechain compress. I have a whole series on sidechaining. A bus 6 is where I have all my vocals sent. So the lead vocals are coming through this bus, and this compressor is reacting to that bus on a fairly low ratio, and I pull the threshold down on the source material, the strings in this case, to where they are getting out of the way of the vocals. You'll be fine and so you can see the attenuation of the string signal based on how strong the vocals are coming in. It's hard to notice, but if it wasn't there, the strings would be clouding into the vocals. And then we have some buses that I'm routing out from this bus. I have this send to the string reverb. It will solo in here. And I just use a stock reverb. But what's really, really important to know about reverbs is that you want to EQ your reverbs. Get rid of the mud, things that can build up and make your reverb hurt your total sound because it's building frequencies that will tend to muddy it up. So, real important there. But just a basic reverb. We'll turn it on and off. There, you heard that fade out. All right, no reverb. And there's your reverb tail. Sounds great, gives it a sense of space. And then the other one is kind of my special trick is I like to put delay on these strings. So I have my strings sent to a chain over here. That is a quarter delay. It's just one of my presets for a quarter delay set to stereo. You can feel free to copy these, try these settings for yourself. Set all the way to a wet signal. Hear that delay? Fantastic sound, and it really helps thicken it up. But just like the reverb, I want to filter out things that will help muddy it up. We want to get rid of these super highs, these super lows, and some of these other frequencies in the delay that might cause some frequency imbalance and some mud. So I pulled out those frequencies to get them out of the way so we don't have a muddy mix. And then a little distortion. Don't feel scared to affect your sends and your effects, put effects on effects. I just added some high-end distortion, a lot of treble to brighten up these strings and brighten up the delay. It's a real subtle thing, but it helps those delays pop up a little bit and add to the thickness. And more sidechaining. This compressor is sidechained to the vocals just like the string bus is, so that when the vocals come in, they push down the delay signal, and then when the vocals go away, the delays come up and help fill the space. Really useful technique, sidechaining. I'll put the videos at the end of this, the whole series I have on sidechaining, but see, it's a technique that I really do use, and I panned my delays slightly to the left to add some more width. So one more time, we'll just listen to the strings in context, but just remember that when you're EQing, compressing, processing your buses full of instruments, that's my first step in processing down, and then you can get to the individual tracks to continue your processing to help add more of the separation and panning that we talked about in the previous video. So, hopefully you found that interesting and helpful. Go try all these tricks on your mixes. Try them on your instrument buses where you apply processing to a whole group of instruments first to really shape the sound of strings or the guitars or the drums or the vocals. And then if you're still hearing problems, go down to the individual tracks. It's just how I do it. No rules, no hard and fast laws about this. Do what works for you, but consider these techniques when you're working on your own songs and your own mixes. Once again, head over to TreyMixes.com, get your free ebook and videos, exclusive just to people who sign up for them. It's the only place you can get them. And do all the YouTube regular stuff, the likes, the subscribes, the shares, the comments. So let me know if you found this helpful. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.